Hi everyone, it's Shelley with 50 Up Health and Beauty, and welcome to another episode of my expert series. Now, as you know, I'm a huge supporter of exercise for staying healthy and vibrant after 50, but it's not always about hitting the gym or high impact cardio. Today, we're exploring a form of exercise that is both ancient and scientifically backed for its incredible benefits. In my previous career as a pharmaceutical representative, I was often at UCLA and I'd see studies being conducted on a very specific type of exercise called Tai Chi. Now, the research, particularly with breast cancer patients, was fascinating. It showed that practicing Tai Chi led to significant improvements, including a reduction in inflammation, anxiety, and insomnia, as well as an increase in mental clarity and cognitive function. These are benefits that are relevant to all of us as we age. So today, I'm really excited to introduce you to my guest, Lana Spraker, a true master of this art form. Now, Lana's here to help us understand what Tai Chi is and what it can offer for everyone, not just for those in a clinical study. So join me to see how this gentle yet powerful practice can transform your health and well-being. So let's get going. Lana, thank you so much for coming on the channel today. I'm really excited to have you. I think that a lot of people are going to find what you have to share very interesting. So, if you don't mind, can you talk about how you got into Tai Chi and what your journey was?
Oh, yeah, it's quite a journey. All right. Well, thank you. Thank you for being interested and for inviting me to do this. When I came to UCLA in 1969, and I was getting a degree in dance, a friend of mine said she'd seen this very beautiful movement, and they were giving a demonstration. The teacher was giving a demonstration. Did I want to see it? And I went along, and I'd always been very interested in Chinese philosophy, Taoism, from the age of 16. So I went along and I saw this lady, this beautiful lady, doing these beautiful moves that were graceful, but also quite, we might say, athletic. I mean, she was going deep in her knees and very upright and moving like moving like water, moving like clouds. And I thought, I have to learn this. And I began to study with this woman. And within 2 years, I didn't know anything, but I thought I did. And I started teaching. And so I've been teaching since 1972,
Wow.
which is a while now. And it's been a wonderful journey. One of the things that her name was June Ewer. And I want to honor that because she was it's where they say where you first drank water.
Right.
So June was a master, and she studied Chinese calligraphy, but she also interpreted the philosophy of Tai Chi. In fact, she gave little classes after our Tai Chi class where she went through the names of the moves and told us what those moves meant on a kind of spiritual plane. And that's one of the things I loved about Tai Chi because I always was very attracted to things that were spiritual as well as physical.
Okay, so well, that leads me to my next question for you is for many of the people maybe watching, they don't know what Tai Chi is.
Right. Well,
so can you explain what it is and what the philosophy is behind it?
Yeah. First of all, I think of it as a moving meditation, but it's a form of movement. And it's a form of movement that uses all the different muscles and bones in the body and the nervous system. And it really tunes the nervous system and calms the nervous system. So it's derived from ancient Taoist movements. This form that I teach and that people have taught in the last 200 years has been very popular. I teach Yang style Tai Chi, which is just the name of the man who figured out the stylization of these moves. So Tai Chi is as I say, movement meditation. It is an exercise form, but it has a philosophy behind it. And that's what drew me in. Not only is it a wonderful exercise, a demanding exercise, so that you keep yourself very supple, especially in your joints, which start to suffer as you get older, and your feet, and your limbs, but also you're meant to move from your center, which is called the dantian. And learning to do that takes a while, takes a few years, but it is very, very good for I'm thinking I'm skipping ahead on your questions here.
It's okay.
Very, very good for your mental acuity because you have to be in the present moment when you're doing Tai Chi. You can't let your mind wander, even after I've been doing this for 55 years. And if my mind really wanders, I don't exactly lose my place, but I might have a lapse. So you have to be focused in the present. So it's very good for cognition. It's very good for your the brain to stay alert and present. It's very good for your vision because you're watching your movements with your eyes. And of course, it uses, as I say, the whole body. So it is a body-mind practice, if you will. And the reason it is so good is that it calms the nervous system. These days, and for everyone, I think, but these days, people can get very worried about their life and their well-being. And to have this in your life balances that. You can have a respite from your concerns when you do your Tai Chi, which is why I try to do it every day. And it focuses me in the present. And if you're in the present and you're still breathing and you're upright, or even sitting in a chair, because there is Tai Chi for people who sit in a chair. There is chair Tai Chi.
That's good.
If you're in the present and you're feeling good and you're alert, then that's what's wrong,
Right.
So it's very, very good for all human beings. But as we get older, it's very easy for the memory to go. It's very easy for the mobility of the body to go. And this keeps you going well into your, I should say, 80s, because I am in my 80s.
Yeah.
I'm betraying myself here, but I am.
It's okay.
And it's something, if you can do it by yourself, but also if you look, sometimes you might see a picture of people doing Tai Chi in China, and you'll see 2,000 people doing the same moves together, all synchronized, and it's quite amazing. So it can be solo or it can be a group experience.
Well, let me ask you this now that you bring this up. Um, is this a choreographed from one move to another? There are certain sets that people know, or are you calling it out as the master and the leader of the group?
No, it is choreographed. I mean, but there are different forms of Tai Chi. There's Yang style Tai Chi, which I do, and there's um, Lu, and there's uh, I'm not thinking right now. It's all right. There are different forms of Tai Chi.
Yeah.
The most popular one is Yang style Tai Chi, and it's interesting. There's a form that's 28 moves. There's a form that's 44 moves. The form that I do and that I teach is 108 moves, and it takes about 30 minutes to do. And then if you do warm-ups, that takes more time.
Right.
So it really is an exercise routine.
Because it kind of reminds me, I mean, years ago, I did karate, and you had a kata that was associated with whatever belt you were going for. And it reminds me when I watch it of that, of the kata. So I wondered if indeed somebody was telling you what to do, or it was a set thing that you could improve as you went through those movements. And it sounds like that's something that happens.
Well, this is like a series of katas, all linked together. And they say that you want to do your Tai Chi form like pulling a thread of silk from a silkworm cocoon. So you don't do anything fast.
Right.
Until right at the end, there's one fast move you do. And also, you want to be focused on your breathing and be focused on one move flowing into the other, flowing like water, they often say.
Mm-hmm.
So there are many things they say. They say, for instance, the hand should be very relaxed, and they call it beautiful lady hand. And that's for men too.
Uh-huh.
So, and the moving in this flowing way, it's challenging. You'd be surprised how challenging it is. Because especially as we get older, we tend to lose our balance. And this really helps you to maintain a quiet nervous system and helps you with the balance. Also, when you step, you're stepping heel, ball, toe, big toe, little toe, heel. So it's a tripod on the ground, and it's very good for training you to move well when you're not doing Tai Chi, to walk well. You're upright, your head is up on top of your spine, but you're moving from your dantian, which is your hara, which is your belly.
Right.
Yeah.
I remember you telling me that when we did Alexander Method about your cervical portion of your spine and your head and how to hold your head. So I think, I mean, what's interesting for me is I'm looking at all these different modalities, and the common thread is being present in the moment.
Yes.
And that's especially important, I think, for people that are older. Now, you lightly touched on it, but one of the things I think older people are really concerned about, is joint stability and mobility, and how you start to lose that, and will I be able to do it? Are there, ways that older people can approach that? And is it because of the slowness and the ease of it that it's easy on the joints?
Yes. Thank you for saying that. It's perfect. It is easy on the joints, but also I remember there was a man that I knew, and he thought the more he pushed himself, this was not my student, the more he pushed himself, the better. And he actually tore the ligaments in his knee. You do what you can. It's like, I always say to my students, you have your own Tai Chi, your own circle of ability, and you work within that circle. So it's very honoring where you are in your life. There's a Chen style of Tai Chi that's very athletic. You go down into splits and leaping. this is not what yang style is. And as you get older, you want to have a gentle, experience with Tai Chi. So I recommend Wu style or yang style. Both are gentle on the body and slow moving, but beautiful. I mean, you feel really beautiful when you're doing it.
Right. Well, it looks really beautiful. And one of the other things that comes to mind as we're having this conversation is, I moved to the desert and there's a large older population there. And one of the things that I see as I go through my day or I'm out shopping or whatever is the amount of elderly people that do not stand up straight.
Right.
And I would imagine, as I did an episode with a rolfer, I did an episode with another dancer, it's all of that, like you're talking about the core and having that sense of being present to just remind yourself, stand up.
Yeah, thinking that sometimes they'll say, they talk about a thread from the crown of the head, but you don't want to try to push it into it because that will create just tension in the neck. But you want to think about the length from the pubic bone to the sternum and then up to behind the ears. And I'm giving you a little Alexander right now.
Yes,
saying this, but it really is the head balanced slightly on top of the spine. If your head is balanced over your center, you won't fall. Mm. When the head goes one way or the other, then your body's going to follow. That's just how we're built.
Right.
All vertebrate animals are built the same way.
And you have that inner ear, that gets activated and you can lose your balance. And that's something that I've had many people ask me. They go, oh, please do something on falling and the risk of falling and what we can do to try to prevent that.
One thing I'll say too about falling, if you have challenges with falling, I had a lady who was in her 90s. She was lovely. And she came to my Tai Chi class. And it was very hard for her to do the class. So we put a chair next to her. And she could hold on while she was doing moves in one direction. And then we turn around and we put the chair in a... The thing is you don't want to assume that everybody can find that balance. You want to support each person. And as they begin to find their balance, then it's safer for them. But if you're challenged with balance, go to a Tai Chi class. Oh, I think you were going to ask me, and I'm going to tell you right now. It reminds me, I think one of the questions might be, how do you get a good Tai Chi teacher? Where do you find a good Tai Chi teacher? Okay, I've been in this business a long time. I always say, if you can, find someone who goes to the class, you'll probably get a recommendation. But most importantly, you go to the class. And if they don't let you in, I remember there was a class that they said, no, you can't observe. And I thought, then I don't want to go.
Right.
If I can't see how the teacher takes care of and relates to the students, then I don't want to put myself with people that might be mean. I mean, there are mean teachers out there.
Right.
I maybe no Tai Chi teachers, but yeah. So you go to a class and you observe and you see if the way this person approaches a student, maybe touches a student, because that's very possible. If you're correcting a move, there's going to be touch. You see if it feels like something that would be comfortable for you. If the teacher is very, very gruff, it's probably not for you unless you like gruff people.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I think that's an important aspect because, on these channels, they go global. And it might not be a metropolitan area like we live in, where it might good teacher might not be so accessible. So the one thing I always recommend for no matter what kind of exercise you do is that you do exactly that. You go and observe and make sure that there's a right connection. Right. Because again, I taught athletics for a while. And one thing I know for sure, unless you find something that you really like and that you look forward to coming to every day, you're not going to stick with it. Right. And as you get older, it's important exercise. It doesn't have to be high impact aerobics. It doesn't have to be elliptical. It doesn't have to be yoga. It can be Tai Chi, dance. There are so many different things out there for you to choose from.
But you know, Tai Chi is, or Tai Chi, as the Chinese would say, is really one of the most highly recommended of the exercise forms because it is so good for the body, for keeping the muscles and joints in good balance. It's so good for the mental acuity and breathing. You breathe into your belly. You really it helps you with breathing. There are so many aspects of the human experience that are taken care of when you're learning Tai Chi.
Mm.
I mean, you can do aerobics if you want, but I think by the time you're of a certain age, I'm not going to say what age.
Yeah.
I think they might be too demanding. They might be too demanding on the joints. Uh, it's might be difficult for balance, and I mean, it's good. It's good to respond quickly, but this is about being at peace with yourself because at the end of the day, that's what we want. We don't want to go to bed all
Well,
hyped up.
I totally agree with you. And, I think I told you initially that one of the things that got me to have Tai Chi on my radar, way before that, I think I came to you for the Alexander method, is that I would be at UCLA. I was a pharmaceutical rep, and I would go into the mental health unit, and they would always have bulletin boards up where they were looking for people to take Tai Chi classes. Now, I've looked at some of UCLA's research, and they did a lot of research on patients that suffered from breast cancer that did Tai Chi, and they saw a decrease in inflammation. They saw an improvement in cognitive function, and a reduction in anxiety. So, all of those things with the breathing and the meditative part of the movement, I think are excellent.
Yeah, and also with breast cancer, I worked with what was his name, Harold Stone. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I worked with a doctor who had a group for breast cancer people who had had mastectomies, and one of the things, and he asked me to come in and do a session with the women. And one of the things that, one of the feedback that I got was that this one woman, she said she did not have, she was so afraid to move. She was so afraid because she lost one side, and that when she began, and also there was pain in the arm and underneath the arm, and when she began to do the movement, it relaxed her, and she felt that she was more whole. I mean, I think our image of ourselves, we have an image of ourselves. We may not be aware of that, but we have an image,
Mm-hmm.
and we want to have that a continuity of image. And I think doing the form gives you a sense of not just front, but what is behind, not just your dominant side, but the other side, your
Right.
non-dominant side. So it balances out what the brain is experiencing in terms of being in space, your proprioceptive experience.
And that's so important.
Yeah.
I really believe that that's important because I think it's sometimes, I don't know if it's true in other countries, but I think in America, we're so driven. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, one of the things when I was doing Rolfing, as my Rolfing teacher sent me, which I thought was interesting, he sent me a picture of Americans walking through a breezeway. And then he showed me Africans walking.
Oh,
And there was such a difference in the ease in which they just moved,
yeah.
opposed to that driven thing that I saw in that breezeway.
Well, one of the things that happens in that breezeway picture is if you notice people they got their head way out there, which is very bad because this weighs 10 pounds. But if you walk around with a 10-pound weight in your hands for very long, it gets very heavy. So if you're sending your head forward all the time, you're going to start to collapse. You're going to start to shrink, and you're going to start to have backache, low backache, lots of neck ache.
Mm.
If your head is up on top of your spine, then your body is carrying it and you don't have that strain on the body. One of the things that happens is the kids, but I think everybody, they've got these cell phones. And you see people talking like this with their cell phones. No, you want to bring it to your head. don't give in to following what, hey, be in your body and let whatever it is you're experiencing come to you, and maintain your balance. I don't mean tight. You don't want to be tight, but just think of your head lightly balancing on your spine. Again, this is Alexander talk.
Right.
But that's why Alexander and Tai Chi, I taught them both for many, many years. They work together so well.
I always think of that when I'm driving long distances, is to relax in the seat. I don't have to be like this.
Right.
I can be relaxed and relax my head. And it
And
makes
your neck.
And my neck.
Yeah.
And it makes it much easier for me to do these long distances.
Yeah.
I don't come out of the car anymore like sore. So, I really, really believe in that.
Yeah.
And again, when I see a lot of elderly people moving, I just like, this is really something that people should pay attention to. Because the first thing to change, you may not even know you have that behavior.
Oh, no, you don't.
Right? Until somebody draws attention to it.
Yeah.
One of my experiences that I had from my Rolfing person was when I was working in pharmaceuticals, I used to carry a bag.
Heavy.
Right? And it was a roller. And what I would do is I'd walk like this and I carried behind me. And he goes, what if you stood up straight and put that bag right next to your hip and carried it? And so I, like with a lot of these things that I've experienced over the years, I may not think of it 100% of the time, but if I do, it comes to me and I go, oh, make this correction. It's a good thing.
Oh, yeah. Very important.
It's a good thing.
Very important. And I think that's one important thing. When you have Tai Chi in your life, when you do it on a daily basis or twice a week or whatever it is, it reminds you of the way your body is balanced. And it influences everything else you do during the day.
Right. Right. Well, if you could say, like, to a beginner, what should they think about? I mean, because sometimes people get intimidated and they go, oh, they see these beautiful videos of people moving. What would you say, what advice would you give to a beginner to start their journey on Tai Chi?
Well, aside from going and checking out the teacher and making sure you feel comfortable, I would say, give it a try. It will go to a class. If it's a beginning class, that's the best. And don't expect yourself to, you may be very good at imitating movement. It may come to you very easily, but most of the time it doesn't. So be very patient with yourself and be very loving. That's important. I'm not being foolish here. I'm not being, I don't know what to say, but you have to accept yourself where you are, and you go and you follow the moves. I mean, I had a class, I taught for Kaiser for many, many years, and I had a class where some people just never, and I've had private students, they never got very far, but they loved what they were doing. So go and learn the moves as best you can. And there are videos that are available that you can order. I'm giving myself a plug now. Okay.
I saw it on eBay.
Yes. It's on eBay?
It's on eBay.
But if you can find a video, this is Yang Style Tai Chi.
Okay.
And what it does is it instructs the first section, the first 24 moves. And that's good. If you can get through those, that may be all you need. But this goes for the whole 108. But get something to support your learning, because it may, especially if you're older, it may take a while for the memory to kick in. The muscle memory will kick in maybe before the mental memory. Also, this is kind of, I don't know if this is a plug or not. I had a friend who was in the hospital dying of cancer, and he couldn't get out of bed, but he watched my video every day because it made him feel so peaceful. And just seeing the movement it's very calming.
Right.
And that's what we need more of in this culture.
I agree with you 100%.
Yeah, yeah. And what you were saying about the Africans walking upright, and you see them walking with sticks on their
But
head.
fluidity in their body,
Yeah.
their movement is so easy.
Because they're moving from their center.
Yes.
And they're letting their head rest on top of their spine, the neck lengthen, and they're in the present moment, I think.
Right.
They are where they are. They're not 20 minutes from now or going to dinner or next week. They're in the present moment. And if you can do something, I would recommend, of course, Tai Chi. If you can do something, meditation, all these things are helpful to get you into the present moment. That's giving yourself a gift.
Right.
You know, as they say, the future hasn't come yet, and the past you can't do anything about. In the present moment is what we need to be.
It's all we have.
Yep.
Really. So you might as well enjoy it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, do people need a lot of space? Was this something like if like they took a while for them to find a teacher? You know, I know there's a plethora of videos on YouTube, but do they need a lot of space to be able to start doing Tai Chi, or do they have to have a big space to do it?
No, I mean, you'll notice in my living room, which is where we are right now, I don't have a lot of furniture. There's an open space, and this is plenty of room to do type of form. However, there are Tai Chi forms that you can do in a hotel room, and there are moves that you do where you step forward and then you step back and you step forward. I mean, space is not an excuse for not doing Tai Chi.
Okay.
You can make it work.
Okay.
Yeah, you can.
Well, I so appreciate you coming on the channel today. Now, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. See you in a bit.
All right.
Bye.